Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. So right behind me here, I have one of the best plants that you could possibly put in your garden. It is very low maintenance, does awesome in full sun, and creates just one of the best impact plants that you could possibly have. It is the Limelight Hydrangea. I'm showing it to you around the beginning of October, so you can see that it has really nice, large pink blooms at this time of year. They open up as like a nice white color, kind of fade to a chartreuse green, and then once it starts to get cooler at night, they turn into this gorgeous pink color. They grow in zones 3 through 9, and there's a different variety of Limelight hydrangeas that they have at this point. This is the traditional, however, this is the tree form of a Limelight hydrangea, and it has one major issue that I'm going to fix today. It's leaning. So we originally planted this around fall of last year, so actually about a year ago. It did awesome that last fall. I pruned it back in like late winter, early spring, and it's been doing awesome this year. However, in the last month or two, you can see that it's really started to lean, and this stake that it originally came with is not really doing anything at this point. You can kind of see it right now. It's leaning with the tree and not providing any support. In fact, it's actually pretty loose. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to move this stake over to about here, and I'm going to just tie it back, and hopefully that should fix this issue. The thing with Limelight hydrangeas is that while these flowers look absolutely gorgeous, they're pretty big and heavy on the plant, so they can be a bit taxing when it comes towards the weight. So you just have to make sure that it's staked up well enough. And it's not as much of an issue with the shrub form of this plant, but with the tree form, you've got to make sure that that main stem stays straight up and down, otherwise the plant could potentially fall over. If I didn't take care of this issue now, then it could potentially snap and that would kill the plant. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. So if you see this issue with your own hydrangea, try to take care of it as soon as you possibly can. There's really no bad time of year to do it. I mean, I'm doing it right in the middle of fall when it still has all of its leaves on it, but I want to do it before anything could potentially happen, because if we have a strong storm, a lot of rain or whatever, that could make this problem even worse. So the first thing that I want to do now is just untie all these strings and get rid of the stake for now to clean up where the trunk is. Now this stake is still really good, so I'm going to use this stake because it'll help hold everything back, but instead of having it right along with the trunk, I'm going to move it back over here so that way we can pull this entire thing backwards. This is the string that I took off of the stake, and this will actually work really well just temporarily for the next few months or so over the winter time, so I'm going to use this for today. So because the hydrangea is leaning that way, I'm going to put this pretty much in the opposite direction. And this doesn't need to be super far away from the tree, but just far enough so that way I'm not going to damage the roots at all, and it can pull it back. I also want to put it on somewhat of an angle so that way it can have that resistance against the tree. Now ideally you'd want something to actually cover the top of this so you don't ruin the stake, but I didn't have anything else on handy right now, so I knew I wasn't going to have to hit it super hard, but I think I've hit a rock at this point, and this feels like it's sturdy enough in the ground. So I'm going to get the string, and then we'll just tie it to here as well as the tree. All right, so that was a pretty easy job. It may not look like it's 100% perfect. It may look like it's leaning a little bit, but I also want to just give you a different perspective because this angle looks like it's a little bit crooked. However, if you go this way, you can see that the actual trunk itself is just a little bit crooked naturally, which is totally fine. It's much better than it was before. The biggest takeaway from this is that this plant is still really young. It's only been in the ground for about a year or so, and any issues like this you want to take care of when it is younger, so that way as it ages, this issue isn't going to get worse, because ultimately that would end up happening, and if it's going to start growing crooked from the beginning, it'll stay that way and cause major issues in the future. And I really don't want to have to replace this with another one, not anytime soon, because limelights will get really big and they have a really long lifetime. So that's what's really awesome about this plant. You just have to make sure that in the beginning stages you set it off on the right track. And then inside the tree, you can see that I have it around this main branch here and a couple other branches behind it. I don't have it around absolutely everything, but this is where a lot of the support is coming from. But I also will mention that you can see that it is right against the wood there. Now, this is typically frowned upon when you are staking up trees or other plants like this, but it is okay for right now. This is only a temporary fix. I'm just going to leave it until probably the end of the winter, and hopefully in the spring it'll have corrected itself. So I'm not going to leave this on there for a super long time, but this could end up being kind of damaging, especially as wind goes and it shakes against the tree. This could cause some issues for it. But I'm not going to be leaving it on here for more than about 6 months, so I would say it's okay to do if you're doing it for a short time, but if you plan on leaving this for a while, then I wouldn't do it this way. Try to find some sort of actual tree staking kit that you could use, and it'll give you the proper materials to help not let this rub against the tree as much. Now that we have that problem taken care of though, I just want to show you what this looks like in its full glory, because this Limelight hydrangea looks absolutely incredible. But I also will add that it's definitely best when you're in a northern climate to give it full sun as much as you possibly can give it. Southern climates, you can probably give it a little bit less. It can have some afternoon shade, but in the northern climates, you want to give it as much sun as possible, because if you don't give it enough sun, instead of it looking like this, it will look like this. Now, this is still gorgeous, but because it's in a lot of shade for the majority of the day, you can see that it's already starting to get some yellowing leaves. The branches aren't as sturdy, so some of the flowers are falling over, and you can see some of them are kind of touching the ground. But as long as you cut it back every year, this will still do okay with some shade. Alright, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to answer those questions as best as I possibly can. But besides that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up so that way more people can see if they need to take care of this issue with their Limelight hydrangeas as well. And that's about it. So I will see you guys in the next video.